Good evening. This is CTV News for Tuesday, April 30th. I'm Sonia Shrivastava. Glad to have you with us tonight. Police are investigating a shooting and attempted armed robbery at a pawn shop in Suitland. Authorities say the incident happened just after 1 o'clock this afternoon in the 4600 block of Silver Hill Road. According to police, two suspects entered the store demanding money. At least one of the men was armed with a handgun. A security guard inside the shop fired his security weapon at the intruders, who then fled. The suspects were last seen driving a burgundy Honda Accord with tinted windows and DC license plates. It is unclear at this time whether the suspects were injured in the shooting or if they got away with any money. The incident remains under investigation. Meantime, Prince George's police identified the man who was stabbed to death during a home invasion in Suitland. Officials found 35-year-old Nick Bodie stabbed at the scene of a single-car accident near Branch and Southern Avenue about 2 p.m. yesterday. The preliminary investigation reveals the victim was stabbed during a confrontation with intruders at his home in the 3800 block of Regency Parkway Court. A motive is still unknown as the suspects remain at large. A female was attempting to drive Bodie to the hospital when the accident happened. Anyone with information on this case is asked to call Crime Solvers at 1-866-411-TIPS. Well, for the second time, a jury selection started in the case of former Howard University student Alonzo Guyton, who was gunned down near a Mount Rainier apartment building nearly 2 years ago. The jury selected yesterday was thrown out based on what the court classified as a limited selection of eligible jurors. 3 men, Lorenzo Carlton, Michael Jordan, and William Knight, are charged with first-degree murder. Prosecutors say they shot and killed the ex-Marine in a botched robbery. The trial is set to begin tomorrow. Well, 8 people are taken to the hospital, including 5 children, after an accident this morning in Brandywine. Police say 2 vehicles were involved in a crash just before 8 a.m. at the intersection of McKendree Road and Desert Peace Court. The rainy weather appears to have been a factor, and according to investigators, one of the cars hydroplaned on the wet road and crashed into the other. All 8 people were transported to local hospitals with non-life-threatening injuries. Well, if your internet service is operating slower than you'd like? Well, legislation before the Prince George's County Council could soon change that. One bill would require minimum high-speed internet service as a condition of any franchise agreement for cable service in the county.
What the bill seeks to do is to strengthen those density standards so that a wider density will be allowed to get high-speed, or will be required, I should say, to get high-speed internet service. That will help some of our rural tier residents. And really, if you look at some of our neighboring jurisdictions, it's a similar standard that some of our neighbors have negotiated that have helped residents who live in low-density areas in their jurisdictions. The other bill focuses on strengthening the oversight function of our cable commission. That's the commission that's supposed to ensure that there's high customer service, quality response from our cable companies. This bill would basically give them the authority to make recommendations about fines, if necessary, to the council, and the council would have a time to act or not act on those. So that's going to be more controversial.
Meantime, the County Council is scheduled to hold a public hearing on the budget tonight at 7 p.m. It will take place in the council hearing room of the County Administration Building. The address is 14741 Governor Odin Bowie Drive in Upper Marlboro. Well, a Prince George's School Board has her credit card suspended after incurring more than $700 in unauthorized expenses. Carletta Fellows of District 7 used her county-issued credit card to pay several home electric bills, a Verizon cell phone bill, and a $20 alcohol tab. Other expenses include $166 in supplies, including paper towels and toilet paper. The expenses were made public in an April 25th school board meeting.
Ms. Fellows, you are out of
I thought
order.
that according to HB 0107,
the
that
meeting,
this was going to be held in the ethics panel as we had indicated.
that is, you were not in executive session.
I'm
which
sorry,
you should
but
have been.
excuse me,
so
but
you are out of order.
But I'm just saying we had a discussion on yesterday that if in fact we are going to abide by the by the stipulations in HB 01, in policy number 0107, that this is referred to the ethics panel or ethics committee that was provided by, that is set up by the board, that this was discussed in the executive session for you all to take action to do just that.
Thank you for your comments.
But I'm sorry, but I just think this is out of order. And to me, what this is actually doing is almost like a retaliation. Now, if you're saying that we're not going to follow the board policies, believe me, I believe that the board policies allows for this situation or this allegation to be set up in the with the ethics committee.
Madam Chair, I move that we discuss this publicly. I make a motion.
And again, like I said, I believe this is all about a retaliation in reference to me supporting the agenda.
Second.
Supporting the agenda of the county executive.
Now, Fallows has agreed to pay the money back within 30 days. The O'Malley administration settles a class action lawsuit that will soon eliminate a backlog of more than 9,000 Medicaid applications. According to press reports, the agreement requires the Maryland Department of Human Resources to pick up the pace by processing forms within a 60-day period. Advocacy groups who took action on behalf of 10,000 Marylanders with low income or disabilities allege that nearly 46% of the applications were delayed illegally last year. The agency's secretary says the backlog has already decreased by 66%.